Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 68 of the Brunch and Judge. I have
It
nothing.
is.
I mean,
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
68.
We'll celebrate at something in the future, but I'm like 68.
75. 75 feels like a good
I mean,
number.
right? It's cool. It's cool. Here for it.
Yes.
Anyway, we're your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And this week we are bringing you some unsolved mysteries. Do 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 do.
Yes.
I can't do the song.
I
I'm
can't.
sorry.
No, I can't either.
And I watched an episode for my stories.
Because we're channeling Robert Stack right now. So.
and like the like trench coat on a smoky street for whatever reason.
Yes. With an ominous street light.
Yes, just enough in the distance to be like.
Yep. Yep, that's us.
But before we get into that, Claire, what are you judging this week?
Okay, first off, I have a little update. This is a
Ooh,
mini thing.
update.
So I don't know if you all have been listening for a while. April judged a while ago these guys who cheated in a fishing tournament. They weighted the fish, so because
Yes.
it was based on weight. I
Yeah.
saw on the news that those guys got 10 days in jail for cheating at the fishing tournament. I was like, 10 days? What?
I mean, so here's my question, and you probably can't answer this, and that's cool. Is it like 10 consecutive days, or is it like weekends for the next however many weeks? Because like sometimes like just 2 weekends and you'll get your time in, and I'm like,
It didn't say.
is
It
this
just
like
said 10
community
days.
service? I don't even understand. Just
Just
show
10
up.
days in jail. 10 days. That's all it said. So I don't know if it
So
was
you
10
can
consecutive.
that way you
But
can sit there
anyway,
and think about what you did and how to cheat better in the future.
yeah. And they were just like, I'm sorry for cheating.
I'm sorry. I love this sport so much.
Sport. You're right.
And I felt so inferior to the greats that I just felt like I had to do something to be part of it all.
Yep.
Had nothing to do with the money.
Nope.
Nope.
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I saw that on the news this past week and I was like, I have to update you guys.
I mean, that makes me happy.
I
I'm
thought
very
it was funny though that they got
cheatery.
jail time for that. I was just like, that's
Well, I
interesting
guess
to me.
it's
Not only
fraud.
because they were banned, and I think that's
Yes.
what it was. Is it was fraud because there was like a significant cash
Mm-hmm.
prize involved because they would have won that if they hadn't been caught. So yeah, but 10 days in jail also, and banned for life from that particular fishing tournament.
Oh no, what will they do? They'll just put on like the fake nose and mustache with the glasses
Right,
and eyebrows. We're not them. We're totally different.
right. I'd be like in Robin Hood when he like tries to hide his appearance when he goes
Mm-hmm.
to the archery tournament.
Like, I've got a hood on. You can't tell it's me.
That's right. Ha. But anyway, that was just a little mini update on that. But my judge is it's midterm season
Oh
here. I
God,
don't know
it
about everywhere else.
fucking is. I'm not there either, but I'm
Yeah.
getting all sorts of alerts. I haven't lived in Kentucky in 5 years now, but whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm getting all kinds of junk in my mail and I see it on the TV. I'm getting texts from Ted Cruz wanting me to join him for rallies for Kelly Craft because I'm still registered as a Republican.
We all
Ew,
make poor life choices.
we do. I need to change that.
I mean,
I'm just
yeah,
lazy.
yeah.
I'm lazy.
Because it takes
Any
an effort. I understand.
it
It took
does.
me forever before I finally changed.
It does take an effort. I need to do that. Anyway, so if you're listening out of state in Kentucky, if you're registered Republican in the primaries, you have to vote Republican. It's not like that in other states.
Oh
So I've
no?
learned. No,
I don't think I knew that either.
no, because my cousin Tessa was telling me in South Carolina, you get to pick which primary you want to vote in. So like when
Huh.
they were doing the
Regardless of how
primaries,
you're registered?
yes, because then she
Hmm.
said she went and she voted in the Republican primary just specifically to vote against Trump when it was
Yes.
all that
Mm-hmm.
nonsense. Yes, just to like take votes away from him.
No, I'm here for that.
You just had to pick one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't do both, but you had to pick one. And so she was like, I
I think
voted
we
on the
should get to pick.
Republicans.
We should get to do both.
Right. But anyway,
Okay.
so some of the things I've been getting in the mail, and I'm just like, I don't understand this. Like, why you're putting this as a talking point on your propaganda that I'm getting in the
Oh
mail.
God.
Um, some of the things for like treasurer and agriculture, um, they're saying stuff like, I'm the only true conservative running for agriculture person, commissioner, or treasurer. And they're like, I'm pro-life. And I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with being treasurer or agriculture commissioner? I
Yeah.
do not understand that. Like, and I don't understand why these are like a partisan job anyway, because I'm like,
No.
all you're doing is taking care of cows and corn. And all you're doing as treasurer is like managing money. Like you're not even
Yeah. I
setting the
feel like
budget.
I care
Like you're just making
more.
sure people aren't doing anything nefarious with the money.
Like,
Like,
yeah,
you
like
know,
I would
because
care more on like what is your stance on genetically modified strains
yes,
of corn versus
yes,
or how do you feel about the
free range
growing
cows.
issues with climate change and how it impacts agriculture, like or subsidy. Like I think that's more what
Yes,
I care about than whether or not you think women are full humans and can have free will over their own bodies. So,
right. And I'm just
I
like,
mean, do I prefer that you think that I too am a true 100% human being all on my own and can make choices about my body? I do care about that on a personal level, but when it comes to your job, I don't fucking care what you think. I care that you're good at your job.
right. And I'm
God,
just like, why is
I'm a
this
true
part,
conservative.
why does this part of your propaganda on your
I
stuff that
love
you're sending me
that they
as
they
treasurer and agriculture commissioner? And I'm like, what? I don't get this.
I
Stop
love that you
it.
wasted ink on that. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Cool.
just aggravating because I was just like,
Hmm.
I don't, this hurts my head. I don't understand why.
I
Like, I mean,
am
I feel like if you're, especially if you're going to be a treasurer, I think you should put stuff on there like stuff you've done dealing with money.
Yeah, prove to me you
I
know how to
mean,
count.
right?
That you
Instead
understand
of
what
junk like,
balancing means.
I'm a true conservative and I'm pro life. Like, what does that have to do with what your job as treasurer is? Or agriculture? That has nothing to do with what you'd
Mm-mm.
be doing. I mean,
Well, and I also, personal
that's
preference.
not going to make me want to vote for you.
If
Absolutely not.
if I were a Republican, which I'm not,
I'm a
or
family, or I'm a
honestly,
family man. Being
even
a family man has nothing to do with
I
either
don't
one of
want
those
you. I
things.
okay. Unpopular opinion. I don't want family men to be my politicians because that means they need to fucking be home with their wives and their kids. They need to go to game. There are lots of responsibilities when you're a parent, and I think it's incredibly important as a parent to show up to shit because, that
Right.
matters. It truly matters. So I don't want you to be any of those things. I want you to care 100% about this goddamn job, and that's your priority. That's what I want. Okay. That's it.
Yes.
I don't. I don't fucking care about your children. You shouldn't have children. You should be focusing on or your kids can be grown. You can be like, I love my kids, but now that they're gone, shoo shoo, now I can focus
Yes.
100% on my job.
Yes.
Like, no, no, no. I don't want other priorities. One priority. I'm not fucking up this job. That's what I want.
Right.
That's what I want. Just saying.
It just drives me.
I
I'm just
fucking
like
hate the
reading
family
these.
man and
I just
family
like glance
garbage.
over these pamphlets as I toss them in the garbage. But it's just like
Well, and like
all
you're a
this money that they're
yeah.
wasting on
Oh,
this shit that's just going straight in the garbage that
yes.
like I said, I'm just glancing at. I'm not that's my judge basically is
Yes. It's so fucking
aggravating.
exhausting
Yes.
because like also just because you didn't suck at doing the whole family shtick has nothing to do with whether or not you can do this job.
No.
I'm like, good
Mm-mm.
for you. You were with a person and weren't an asshole and created children that didn't turn into serial killers. Congratulations. Good for you. Like I don't so what? Lots of people do
Exactly.
that every fucking day. But they shouldn't be commissioners or treasurers either. So it's
Right.
not really a tick. Can you
I
imagine?
know.
Can you imagine going into a job interview, Claire, and when they're like, so, why do you think you would be a good fit for this job? Oh, because I'm married and I have children. the fuck do you even do? Can you imagine saying that in a job interview? Because that's what this
No.
is. That is what those things are, is like little resumes
Right.
and job interviews. And I would stare at someone that they'd lost their goddamn mind if they came into an interview and was like, oh, well, I'm married and I have kids. But I don't
Okay.
care. Does it mean a
Like, what does
damn
that have to do with
thing?
anything? Yes.
Like, don't tell me personal stuff about you. That's not important. Ew.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Also, politics suck.
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
over
they
it.
do.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed. So, anyway, that's my judge is I hate this time of year when it's like all the stuff on the TV and in my mailbox and all the
Well,
random
like the
text
text
messages I get. I'm
messages.
just like, "Blech,
Well, so today I
no."
got one and it was from, what is Louisville? Is that 502?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I live in 54. Well, I don't live in. I live around 541, so I'm very confused. In 5507, I don't know. It's too many numbers that are similar to be on the other side of
Right.
the
Yeah.
country, but nonetheless. And so I got a text message from what just looks like a cell phone number,
Yeah.
and like I can't like mark it as junk, which I want to be able to do, and it makes me very
Right.
angry. So like I blocked them because I'm like, stop it. I text one, it had like the stop to end or whatever. And
Right.
like I sent stop and nothing happened. You know how you're supposed to get like the immediate response? Oh, thank you.
Right.
You both nothing. And I'm like, this is
Uh,
garbage. You're not a real person. So, or like you are a
right.
real person. You're not the robot that you're supposed to be. So now I'm really angry about it. So I blocked them. Fuck
Right.
them. Because one, have not lived in Kentucky for years.
Right.
Two, have not been a registered Republican for even more years. And three, like, what the fuck? I'm not gonna vote for Kelly Craft. Only an idiot's gonna vote for
No.
her. God damn it. She's awful.
I
Like,
know she's like, "I'm gonna tear apart the what is it? The education department." You're like, "What?"
that's not
I'm
your
gonna
fucking job.
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm gonna build it back up from the ground up. And I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, let's not touch shit. Let's leave that shit alone. Boy. Because that what I really need for everyone to know is that really what you need to hear is I've been given more money so that I can bombard you so that you'll vote for me just because of name recognition. I have zero qualifications
Right.
whatsoever, but I have a lot of money, so vote for me because I'm buying this election. Is really
Yeah.
what that is. She's like, I'm buying it. Thank you. It's got a price tag. Ugh, gross, disgusting. I hate everything.
And then meanwhile, you have Daniel Cameron over here who in his ad is like, I'm being endorsed by Donald Trump. And it's like, oh my
That's not a pro.
gosh.
Like it's like read the room. Like he's not a good guy. Maybe you don't want that endorsement.
Yeah, he's over here and he's like, I've sued Joe Biden 50 bazillion times. And I've sued Andy Bashir and I shut down their vaccine mandates because it was unconstitutional. And Trump is endorsing me. And then it's got a little video of Trump like, Daniel is great. I endorse him. And I'm like, oh my
My
God, this is
God.
vomitous. I just want to vomit on all
Ugh.
of it.
I've
All
never
of
been
it.
so glad to not have cable and to not live in Kentucky. I mean, I live
Well,
in
it's
my own
I
misery, but
don't have cable. It's just on my Paramount app when I'll watch
oh,
the
right,
news
right,
and
right. Hmm.
yeah, I just watch the local station in the morning, like after I work out. I'll be like, oh, I'll just watch the news, but it's like the commercials while I'm watching the news, and I'm like, it's all political nowadays, and I hate it. Ugh.
I understand. I understand.
And it will be until after Tuesday. And I'm just like, ugh, I hate life. Anyway, that's my
Hmm.
judge. I'm done. I
It's a good
bleh,
judge.
vomit.
It's a good
Any,
judge.
anyway, what's your judge?
My judge is how technology that does not have any actual brain or personality or ability to comprehend and understand things or my life choices is constantly fucking judging me and it's goddamn wrong.
What? Uh-oh. Is this
So
AI? Are we talking about AI? Like, what's happening?
no, it is not AI.
Okay.
It's not AI. It's the garbage that like they things that they have built into devices to help make you a healthier person, but there's
Oh,
no like concept or perception of what's really happening. So first, I want to bitch about the thing that makes me irrationally angry, and that is the stupid fucking rings on the fitness app on the iPhone.
okay.
So most of you probably have iPhones because that's the world we live in, but those of you who don't, you're lucky, I guess, because for some reason they put a fitness thing as one of their main apps, which I'm cool with. I'm pro fitness. I used to wear a Fitbit, but my band broke, so I had to wait for a new one to come in the mail. And so I I try, like, my Fitbit buzzes at me and I get up and make sure I get my steps. I don't
Mhm.
always get 10K, but I try to get like 7 to 8,000 at least, especially on the days where I'm sitting a lot. So
Yes.
like
Mhm.
I am aware and I'm trying and I care. But god damn it. My Fitbit does not connect with the stupid fitness thing on your iPhone because it's two different companies and god forbid we just let things communicate.
And now Google bought Fitbit.
Yes, I know.
So,
And they're apparently letting it die, which makes me angry, but that's neither here nor there. But so like I know that I'm getting up and I'm moving and I'm caring and I try really hard, but because I don't always have my phone in my pocket, or because I'm a girl, so it's in my back pocket because they don't make real pockets for girls to put in your front pocket, it
it's true.
doesn't read all my steps. And so it's like, you didn't close your ring today,
You're like, "Bush."
or like in the morning, I swear to God, every fucking morning as I'm getting ready, be like, oh, you didn't close your ring yesterday. Let's try and do better today. And I swear to God, I flip it off every day. I'm like, fuck you, piece of shit. I like it makes me so angry because I try so hard to like do good. And I even like really lowered the requirement to close the stupid ring. And it still it just hates me. It hates me. And it makes me scream because I'm trying, and here it is throwing all this shade, and it's making me feel like shame and failure. And I'm like, God damn it. Every day with the judgy, you didn't close your ring yesterday. No, I fucking didn't. Except I did on my Fitbit that's actually counting my real steps. So that is
Okay.
one judge. The other judge is, as many of you know, I am trying to move. We are
Yes.
moving. And in the process of that, I have been doing a lot of like cleaning and tidying, going through stuff, trying to decide, what's worth holding on to, what should be donated, what do I need to trash, trying to pack stuff up. And the only way to do that in a way that doesn't make me scream is to have my iPad on and to watch random garbage. Pro tip, pro tip, hoarders is an excellent way to get rid of stuff because you're like, I don't want to be like
Oh.
that. Ugh.
You're like, please make me not like that, please."
So it just makes you a little bit more willing to let something go that you really probably should have. So,
Yes.
needless to say, my iPad has been on a lot. And so every Sunday, today's been a bad
Oh,
day,
your
guys.
screen time.
Every Sunday, you get a screen time notification. And I shit you not, my screen time notification was your screen time was up 115% to like 8 hours a day. And I'm like, how is that even possible? I mean, yeah, I mostly watch stuff on my iPad and not the TV. But I was like, well, I mean, to be fair, I have had it on the last couple of days pretty much nonstop as I've been working around the house and doing stuff. And I'm like, this feels really judgy right now.
Right.
Uh,
You're not closing your rings and
and
you're watching more iPad.
I know,
How
and
dare you?
it's like and I swear it was like a 1-2 punch because it was like the ring thing happened. I'm like, oh fuck that shit because it makes me angry every day. And then within like 5 minutes, the stupid thing came on my iPad, and I was like, fuck this, fuck everything. I hate you, technology. God damn it. Made me so angry. Makes me feel bad about myself. You're not supposed to do that, technology. You're not supposed to have feelings. No shaming. So
Oh, but they're throwing all the shade at you.
so much shade. And I'm like, I went to get a snack today and I felt so like guilty about everything that I literally just ate like some mango pieces instead of the chips I wanted to eat because I was like, I can't eat the chips because my technology's judging me right now. It was just so much. I won't
I
lie.
can't eat the chips because I didn't close my
I
rings
didn't
and I'm
close the stupid ring.
watching too
Well,
much
and my
TV.
Fitbit is all wonky because like it's not counting any steps because it's my band broke, so I'm like, nothing's counting. If it doesn't count, it's not real, and I get yelled at by technology, and I'm spiraling out, guys. It's a spiral. I can't come back from this.
Oh, jeez.
So that's my judge. Technology really needs to get like a nicer way instead of like, hey, Apple, if you're listening, maybe program in your little thing that if they're not closing their ring several days in a row, maybe there's something else going on and you should be nicer about it. And instead of every single day be like, you didn't close your ring yesterday. Try and do better today, garbage. Be like, hey, look at you. You got 50% of your ring yesterday. Congratulations. Try the positive approach. God damn it. Sorry. It's a lot of curse words, but it really made me angry. It made me feel really bad. It made me feel really bad about myself. In like a 10-minute period, I was just like, shoom.
Tank that self-esteem right down the toilet.
Swear. Like, it's hard to have, people are cruel enough. I don't need technology to
You don't need them judging you too, right?
Well, and like, it's been a couple weeks ago now, but I actually had the TV on playing Netflix, which I really rarely do. Again, I was packing. I was going through all the stuff on my bookshelf and shelves, plural. So you understand, Claire. So lots of things. I was packing them up, I was dusting stuff off, blah, blah, blah. And it did the whole, hey, are you still watching? And I'm like, what? What? Of course I'm still watching. It's only been like 2 hours. Calm down. Like, I'm packing in here.
You're like, chill out, man.
So much judgment from technology. I'm going outside. I take a walk most days. Calm
I know that
down.
was like last night. Yeah, last night. Brandon and I, we've been watching the last season of Better Call Saul. And he was like, let's watch it together. So we've not been watching it when we're not together.
Very
And
sweet.
so we are like almost finished. We had like 5 episodes left. So we're like, hey, let's watch it last night. And it was. We've watched 2 episodes and it's like, are you still there? Like 2 episodes? Are you kidding me?
It's like,
And then we watched the third
normal.
one.
That's a normal thing. Calm down.
I know. It's like just 2. That's your cutoff now? Like ask after like 4 or 5. Come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing now, dude?
Wait for concern. All right. Like,
yeah.
And what are you gonna do if I say, it's like it's not like you can help me. Be like, oh my god, looks like I fell
right.
down while watching this episode,
right?
And now I'm stuck here listening to.
Yeah,
I think I was watching Grey's Anatomy, random, and I was like, you can't save me. It's not like anyone's gonna do anything. So, yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was weird that it was like we watched 2 episodes. It's like, are you still watching? It was like, yes,
of
we're
course I'm still watching.
Calm down. I thought that was really quick. Usually it was like after like 3 or 4. I thought, I was like 2.
Well, I felt like it was like a solid like half a day of just vegging and be like,
right.
Hey, are you still there? Because we've been playing like a lot of episodes at this point.
Because I always heard that what was it on 420? They just took that off. Like it was just like on 420, it was like, let it go.
I learned because there is a cannabis store. Well, there's probably many near me, but there's one that I have been inside of anyway. And apparently 420 is like a huge holiday here. Like they get swamped and slammed, and I'm like,
yep.
It's real? I thought that was just a thing we all were like, ha ha ha. But no, it's real?
No.
And they were apparently like, yeah.
Apparently in the places where it's legal, it's like a big damn deal.
You live, you learn.
Yep. But yeah. Quit being judgy, Netflix.
Well, it's just like all the technology. Maybe spread out the judge. Maybe don't do it like first thing in the morning when I'm still feeling positive about my day because it hasn't really started yet. Maybe wait till the end of the day when I'm already like, I'm a lazy sack of shit. Yep, you're right. Did not close that ring, did I? Well, shit.
Right. Well, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, if you're still with us, if you managed to survive both of those judges, we are now going to enter into our unsolved mystery portion of the show. And Claire, you are first this week.
Yes.
What unsolved mystery have you brought us?
I'm going to be talking about flight MH370.
I hate you so much.
It was literally like I was just happened to be scrolling Netflix and it popped up as like a suggestion. And I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, it's very fortuitous that I'm going to be talking about Unsolved Mysteries because this is like one of those things. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this. I think I'm going to watch this documentary and
I
then
swear
talk
that is
about it.
like, I mean, I have a lot of irrational fears, like the dead people in my mouth thing, and the bridges collapsing
Yes.
over the water. Very and being
Right.
trapped. It's not just the bridge collapses. I'm trapped in my car and I drown, aware of what is happening. It's very specific to that. Um,
Right.
but I really, when that happened, it just, ugh. Oh, like you remember? Was it who was the golfer? Payne.
Payne
Payne.
Stewart?
Yes, who was in a plane with some people, and the plane, I guess, probably got depressurized or whatever. They all died, but like they just let it keep flying until
Yeah.
like I remember that vividly, and it freaked me out. And so planes that just disappear, no, none of
Right.
those things. I want none of those things. It's
Right.
terrifying.
Right.
And then here's a whole plane of ugh.
Right. Right.
Great, Claire, tell us all
Yes.
about it, and
I
I'll
will. I will.
never fly again.
Um, so on March 8th, 2014, Malaysian Airlines flight
It was
MH.
that long ago? It was almost 10
Yes.
years ago? Oh, wow.
Yes.
It feels
Yes.
so more recent in my
And
terror.
the Netflix documentary came out on March 8th, so it was like the 9 year
Oh, no,
anniversary.
that's mean. No,
It came
no.
out on the 9 year
Don't do
anniversary.
that, but okay. Keep
Yes,
going.
it did. It did. Malaysian airline flight MH370 took off from the Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia, and its destination was Beijing Capital International Airport in China. The takeoff was around 12:42 a.m. and there were 227 passengers on board and 12 crew members. The captain was 53-year-old Zahari Ahmad Shah, and the co-pilot was 27-year-old Farik Abdul Hamid. 153 passengers were Chinese, 38 were Malaysian, and the remaining were from 12 other countries. In the documentary, they talked to a woman whose husband was on the flight, and she was Australian. And then they talked to a man whose wife and two younger children were on the flight, and they were
Ugh.
French.
Ugh.
They both looked like they were teenagers, and he had another son who was older, who was like at school, like in college, that he had to call later and tell them that his mother and two younger siblings were on that airplane, which I
Mm-mm.
was like, that's terrible. He was supposed to meet them in Beijing, like pick them up, and then the plane never showed. So
That's, I can't even
I know
imagine.
it's
Ugh.
terrible. The
Spencer,
flight,
Spencer flies back this week, so this is going to be in my head now. Thank you.
no, no. The flight was supposed to be just a little over 6 hours. It was a routine flight. Apparently, that was just like a normal
Mhm.
from Malaysia to Beijing and back was like a normal thing all the time. Nothing weird about that flight at all. And it said nothing was amiss during takeoff or during the beginning of the flight. It was all normal. And as the plane was leaving Malaysian airspace, Captain Zahari signed off by saying goodnight, Malaysian 370, which was just typical, like, hey,
Mhm.
we're leaving Malaysian airspace. And then they said it was like a gray area between Malaysian and Vietnam airspace before they were going to be picked up by like Ho Chi Minh
Mhm.
Tower. And at 1:21 a.m., the plane just disappeared from radar. Anybody's radar just fell off nowhere.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Stopped sending any location data. Never made it into Vietnamese airspace. Never landed in Beijing. At one point, uh, said that another plane that was like 30 minutes ahead of it, I guess the Vietnamese airspace asked them to try to radio. And so they did over like an emergency frequency and said all they got was like a bunch of interference and heard some mumbling. And that was it. Like there was nothing that they really got from
Mhm.
the airplane. And they said that the plane only had just a little over 7 hours worth of fuel. And that was like if something went wrong and they needed to make it to another airport that was like in either direction, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know where it was. It just the
Mm-hmm.
Malaysian government, they were all over the place trying to find something to say where it was. So social media was on fire. They started a massive search in the South China Sea, which is in between Malaysia and Vietnam. And oil rig workers had started tweeting out, and people were picking up on social media, said that they saw something fiery crash into the ocean. So that
Ugh.
was one of the reasons why they started searching the South China Sea. Other people on Twitter said that they saw it crash into the jungle somewhere. And so a lot of these Malaysian air officials, government, they had to take all that stuff seriously because they
Mm-hmm.
had nothing to go on. I mean, it was just like they didn't know. It was
Right. It's just gone.
it yeah, I mean, this is like
No, I
anybody who's calling into like a police station with any kind of tips. Like anything that was popping up, they were just having to go with it because they literally had nothing.
I vividly remember this because it was nonstop covered news for days. It was
Oh
so
yeah, absolutely.
horrifying. Ugh.
Yes. So 2 days after it disappeared, Malaysian officials announced that the plane had actually been picked up on a military radar because you don't have to be transmitting anything to be picked up on military radar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they suspected it was the plane
Right.
because they
Because they
just
wouldn't
caught
know
this.
otherwise. Right.
Yeah, they said it could have been anything. It could have been a helicopter. It could have been a hot air balloon. All they, it, they couldn't tell that it
Something
was.
was in the sky. It might have been them.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. So they were saying that when it dropped off the radar, that it turned back and flew back across the Malaysian peninsula and then banked up northwest and then disappeared from radar again. So it like flew back down and then went back up and then disappeared off the military radar. And so then over it was like the Andaman Sea. So then it was like 3 days after it disappeared, their search expanded. So they're searching both the South China Sea and the Andaman Sea. And then everybody's like confused. They're like, WTF,
Yeah.
guys, what's going on?
Like we're
Like
just
the
looking
report,
everywhere.
yeah, the reporters are like, we're confused. What are you doing? And they're like, well, there's no confusion, And it's like
Yeah.
you're watching this and you're like, they don't know. They
No,
don't know
yeah. They don't
anything.
have any
They
idea.
know nothing.
Yeah.
They know nothing. 7 days after the plane was missing, confirmed the military data that it was the plane. So they stopped searching in the South China Sea. A satellite company in Marsat had 7 pings on their satellite from the plane, which is like this big satellite that's over the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
And there was no, and on these pings, there's no positional info because there was something in the plane that was also from Inmarsat, like with their satellite info. So it was just
Okay.
like, and no positional info or GPS coordinates. So all they could tell was just like how far away the plane was from the satellite. That's basically it.
Okay.
And so, based on that, they're saying the plane could have gone in two different directions after it had banked northwest, that it could have kept going north up to Kazakhstan slash Turkmenistan border,
Mm-hmm.
or it could have turned south and just gone towards the bottom of the earth in the Indian Ocean. Like there's nothing there.
Okay.
It would have just crashed out in the middle of the water somewhere. And but they were certain at that point that that wasn't an accident, that something happened.
Right.
So when that happened, that's when the police raided the Captain Zahari's house. He had a flight simulator in his basement, which they said was normal for
Mm-hmm.
people who like airline pilots had those in
Right.
their houses. That was not something that was unusual for them to have, you know. So they raided his house and took all his stuff. And then Inmarsat employee was able to decipher the data and use an equation and work out which route the plane took. And so 16 days after it went missing, the Malaysian government had another press conference stating that MH370 took the southern route and flew into the Indian Ocean,
Mm-hmm.
and that they presumed it crashed, even though there was no physical proof for any of this.
Right.
And so that's what they said on the documentary. Was this guy was like, so basically they're telling, this is what he said, basically they're telling these family members, your family members are dead, but it's all based on math.
Right.
And that's it. That's the only thing that we have. We have nothing else to anything. And so they sent out this massive, it was like Australia, Malaysia, China, some other countries were involved too, but those were the three main ones, sent out these massive search parties into the Indian Ocean. And they, I think, what was it? They spent over $150 million to search more than 46,000 square miles of seafloor in the Indian Ocean, which apparently the Indian Ocean is like some of the roughest waters on the planet. Like
Oh,
just some of the footage they showed, I mean, you're talking giant waves, like it just looked bad.
yeah. Noted. Don't
It
go
was
there.
bad, and it was just, yeah, and they had to, like, the search area was huge. They
Yeah.
didn't know where to go. It was just like shit. And so they did that, and for 4 years and 4 months, and after that they just suspended it because, like I said, it was $150 million, and so they were just like, after 4 years they just called it off. um 2015, this is kind of like, I don't know about this. I don't know how I feel
Okay.
about it. I don't know how I feel about this. This is like, a piece of debris was found on Reunion Island, which is like off the coast of Africa.
Okay.
It was the flaperon. It's from like the wing. They said it was eventually concluded that it was from MH370, but in the documentary, they mentioned that there should have been like a kind of like plate with like a serial number or VIN number on the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
and they said that that thing is like meant to withstand all kinds of shit.
Right.
Like
It's intentional so that we can
yes,
identify it. Got it.
yes, it should not have come off. It's meant to withstand all the things. It should not have come off. And the only time that they take it off is when the plane is physically dismantled,
Right.
like by humans. But there are other serial numbers on that piece that they found. And so I think they said there were like 12 other serial numbers that they ran. And only one of those serial numbers came back to MH370. And so that is what they were using to say that that piece belonged to that plane.
So what did the other serial numbers come back to as? Other
They didn't
planes
say.
or
They didn't say.
I don't like that. That
That's
feels
what, yeah, that's,
hinky.
yes. That to me sounded hinky. And there was a woman, they talked to her. Her husband was a flight attendant on the plane. In fact, she was also a flight attendant and they did a lot of flights together, but at the
Mm-hmm.
time she was pregnant, like very, very
Oh,
pregnant. And so she wasn't on that flight, obviously. Yes, they had already had a kid and she was pregnant with her second child. And so, but she said when they found that piece, she was just like, who put that there? Like she didn't feel like
right.
that was,
Yeah.
she, she felt like it was either
I love
planted
that.
or it
Who
wasn't.
put that there? Who put it
Yes.
there? I'm here for it.
Yes.
Okay. Conspiracy.
They say that they found other debris that might be from the plane. Nothing is like confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all suspected because of just currents from the Indian Ocean and how they go across the sea and wind
Mm-hmm.
up off the coast of Madagascar and all that stuff. They think if it landed here in the Indian Ocean, it could wind up over there. That's like all they have to go off of. And they think they might have found some belongings from people, but nothing is just, it's all conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. like you said, it's all hinky. I
It,
don't
it, it sounds hinky, yeah. I mean,
I
because
don't know how I feel about all
you
that.
expect, you know, a large aircraft like that would be findable, like be verifiable. Like I get we can't find Amelia Earhart's remnants, but like
Right.
small plane, no tracking, no concept of really where she was or where she could have gone. But like,
Right.
shouldn't we be able to find
Oh, and I didn't
this?
mention this. It was a Boeing 777. Yeah.
The
I mean,
big
this is a
fucking
big
plane.
airplane. It's a
Yeah.
Boeing 777. Yes, this is not a small plane. But they said that based on where it washed up, led them to believe the search area was about 9,600 square miles to the north of the earlier search area
Okay.
where they thought it was. But still, I'm just like, meh. I don't know. I just that whole thing was like if the VIN number or the serial number wasn't there and they ran the other serial numbers and there's only one serial number that came back, I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
you're only going off one serial number versus the other 11.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was like, I'm not here for that. I don't know. I don't know. And then also about a year after the disappearance, the FBI came out and said that the data from Captain Zahari's home flight simulator showed that he had logged a similar course on his flight simulator not long before that happened. And of course, the media went wild with it.
Mm-hmm.
Zahari's family, especially his sister Sakinab Shah, defended him like vehemently. She was totally on his side, saying he didn't have any issues. He
Mm-hmm.
had no money issues, no family issues. He was married, had children, had a grandchild, that it was fine. He had been with Malaysian Airlines for 30 years. He didn't have anything bad on his record. He was just a few years from retirement. Like he had no reason
Yeah.
to do that. So it was just like, you know, but why did the FBI wait a year to come out and say that? That's why I was like, because they had that from the beginning,
Why did the
because they
FBI
rated
have
that.
it?
And that's another thing, yeah. Because it was like
Why?
the FBI was the one. I guess they turned it over. I don't know. I don't
Because
know if they
like
turned
I'm
it over to the
assuming he
FBI. It was just weird.
where did the pilot live? Did he live in like
Malaysia.
Malaysia? Okay, so yeah,
He was
why?
Malaysian. Yeah.
Why was it? Why did the FBI have anything
I
to
don't
do
know
with
if they
this?
turned it. I guess they turned it over.
Huh.
I guess they turned it over to the FBI. Maybe they wanted their help. I don't. It never really
Well,
talked about that. It just said that
I have
the
so many
FBI
questions.
came out. I know, right? And then in July of 2018, the Malaysian government issued a final report that basically just said, "We don't know." I mean, it really was. We don't know what happened. They said that they absolved both pilots, saying they didn't believe that either pilot had anything to do with it, that they were satisfied with like their mental health status. And so it's just basically, we don't know what happened.
Hmm.
And so the French guy, his name was Ghislaine. I can't, it started with a W, his last name. I can't, all these
Many
foreign
names. It's fine.
words. Anyway, he actually has like some kind of lawsuit going in France, and his is like the only one that's still left. That's still like they're trying to find something, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because I mean he lost his wife and two children, which I get
Yeah.
it. He's
Yeah.
he's adamant about finding something. He absolutely thinks something is hinky with all kinds of things. But the three main theories in the documentary, which I mean they briefly touched on stuff because people all over the internet were like, "Oh, it's aliens."
It was
Aliens,
aliens.
aliens did it. That was one of the ones. It was aliens. But one of them, which is the obvious one, is it was the pilot that he or the main and they talked about it was the Captain Zahari because the other guy he had just been cleared like to fly as like a co-pilot. He had
Hmm.
just, he only had like I think it was like 18,000 hours or something like that. He was newbie. He was only 27 years old. So it's like I said, it's all speculation, but they're thinking that maybe he asked his co-pilot to go get him something, or the
Oh,
guy
so
had to
that
go
he
to the
would be alone.
bathroom. Yeah,
Because
and
you
locked
have to
him
be
out.
let back in because it's a
Yeah,
whole safety thing.
locked him
Yeah.
out of the cockpit. Yes. And then while he was out of the cockpit, that he started to, you know, what is it when they let the air out of the cabin?
Depressurize.
Yes, depressurize the cabin, drop the drop the masks. And so they're talking about how the mask in the cockpit put out more oxygen than the masks in the cabin.
Good to know. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I get it, fair. You want the driver to be able to drive, but like,
Right,
you
right.
can just make sure there's enough oxygen for everybody.
Yes. And so that basically it was, you know, everybody ran out of oxygen in the back and that he did it and then just had everybody out in the back and drove it into the South Indian Ocean and killed himself and everybody. That's like
Number one
the
theory.
main, yeah, the main theory, most obvious theory that people are like, this is probably what happened. The second theory is that it was hijacked
Mm-hmm.
because right after this happened, I think it was 4 months after this happened, another Malaysian airline liner, it was another Boeing 777, was shot down by Russians.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And they think that this this was put out by a guy named Jeff Wise, who is an aviation writer. He like does blogs and stuff, and he became obsessed with this whole story. And he was one of the ones who like started an online group called the Independent Group, and they were trying to find out what happened. And when
Mm-hmm.
he put out this theory, the group kicked him out because they were like, "That's bullshit. You're ruining our good name."
Okay.
Even though he was the one who kind of founded this group, because they were like, "That's a terrible theory." Like, yeah, they
Okay.
basically disowned him. But he was looking at the manifest and who was on the plane, and there were two Russians on that plane. And so he, again, these people say, yeah, this is wild, but it could have happened. That one of the Russians was sitting not far from this area that you can get into where all the mechanics of the airplane, and basically all it is a piece of carpet that's in between the cockpit and like first,
No.
yeah, it's like a piece of carpet that covers a hole in the floor, the in between the cockpit and like first class, and you just go down in the ground underneath, and that's where like all the electronics are. And that he waited and he was able to get down in there and like remote in, like hook a computer in to the electronics of this airplane and basically hijack the airplane that way.
Oh my God.
And so he thinks that, and this is like, again, that they were able to hack into Inmarsat
Mm-hmm.
and fudge the data to make the data look like it went south when actually the plane went
Went
north
north.
into Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, which would have been closer to like Russia. And they
Mm-hmm.
used it as a way to, it was like a ploy to take their eyes off the Crimean War at that point, because of all that stuff was going on with
Mm-hmm.
Russia and Crimea at that point in time. So they're saying that was the second theory, is that the plane was hijacked, that he was able to like, and they were like, that sounds something of a Tom Clancy novel, and there's no way that could happen, and but it's like, I
I
mean,
mean, I don't know. I kept waiting to find out that it had been hijacked and people were like hostages. Like I
right,
authentically thought we were gonna have some weird hostage crisis, but that never happened. So okay,
but it could have
okay,
been one of those where they just kill everybody on the plane. I don't
yeah,
know. Who knows? Um, so that was his theory, and again, he got lambasted for it. I mean,
right.
everybody was like, "We disown you." for that. We disown you for that theory. It is stupid.
It's like, no.
And then the third one, there was a journalist for Le Monde, a French newspaper, Florence Deschany.
Hmm.
She, um, because the Galan who had lost his children, he had talked with somebody who was in with the military, who had told him that the Americans were involved somehow.
What? I
Yeah,
mean, we do bad
this,
things, that's fair, but
yeah, we
what?
do. And that there were some, they were called AWACS involved. There are these airplanes that can jam signals. And so he had mentioned that to her. And so she starts looking into the cargo that was on this airplane.
Okay.
And she notices that there were some electronics that were like mentioned, like lithium ion batteries. They were labeled like walkie talkies. They were in these huge crates, but they were never scanned or x rayed. Yeah. And
That's
so,
kinky.
and that's what she's saying. And so she's thinking because it was going to China,
Mm-hmm.
her, her theory is it was actually some kind of like American technology, that it could have been some kind of like drone or something like that that China wanted to get their hands on,
Mm-hmm.
that had come in and they were trying to get it across into China without America knowing about it. And that uh, when the plane disappeared off the radar, that was when the two AWACS, it's AWACS.
Okay.
You didn't say what it stood for, but it was all capitalized, like it meant for, like it was a, an anagram for something. But these two airplanes came in and jammed the signal, so that would have been when they would have disappeared from the radar,
Mm-hmm.
and probably tried to get them to like land or something. And if the pilot said no, then they came in and they took the airplane out.
Right.
And then, if it was military, then they could make it look like whatever the hell they wanted to.
That's horrifying to think because that feels real. That feels absolutely like a thing that would happen.
So those were like the three theories they talked about in the documentary. So, or aliens.
It's like my mom was like, it was aliens. Because she humors me. I think this is what I think. I think that they accidentally crossed into another timeline and they landed safely in the other timeline.
Like they crossed into some kind of like wormhole and
Yep.
like
And they're just in another timeline and they have no idea. So they're fine. They're all living exactly the same lives that they would have been living here, except they're there now.
honestly, I feel like theories 1 and 3 to me sound,
Real. Yeah.
yeah, again, like I said, I feel like they're all plausible.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't feel like any of them are outside the realm of possibility.
Right.
But there are a lot of people who are like, "Oh, the second two are just ridiculous and they're just conspiracies and they just
Well,
feed into the
and
conspiracy theorists." And it's just like, "But do they?" I
I have a
mean,
really hard time believing that we don't know exactly where that plane is. With all of the fucking satellites in the sky, like we don't have
right,
constant sight, for lack of a better word, on everything that's in the sky. Like shouldn't we? That feels
right.
like a doable thing that we should have. So,
But I mean, they were saying that airplanes like this big have multiple ways of emitting communication, and
mhm.
that all of this airplane like went dark at the same time, and that
Right.
meant that it was some kind of catastrophic event.
Right.
And so they were saying that usually they don't, it's in a way that, and that was it why the one guy said that Jeff Wise guy said that it's not in the cockpit where the captain could have done it.
Right.
That's why he was saying it could have been hijacked where the guy had to get down into like the electrical compartment to do it that way. So,
Mm.
you know, it just, I don't know. Everything about it is just eh.
Yeah. It was so scary when it happened because like plane crashes happen, but a plane is never disappeared like this, where there's just this
Right.
many years later, we still don't know. We have no idea where it is.
Right.
No one has really found an authentically verifiable piece of anything. Like it's
Yeah,
bizarre.
it's very bizarre. And you have all these families who do not know, like they know nothing.
Right, and that's awful. Bleh.
It
Bleh.
is terrible. And it's just you're watching it, you're like, God, this is awful. Like how, you know,
Mhm.
and you feel bad for the people who worked at the Malaysian airport because they you could tell they were just like authentically they didn't know.
No. Well, and
But the Malaysian government officials, you were just like, you could tell like, do they know something? I feel like they know
yeah,
something and they're
they
not
probably know
sharing
something.
with the whole cult. Yeah, but that's my story on MH370. They still don't know where it is or what happened to it
I hate it.
or what caused it to
I
disappear.
hate
They
it.
know nothing.
I hate it so
Yeah,
much.
and that's what they're saying. This is like the biggest aviation mystery ever. So they know nothing.
I hate it. Bleh.
And all these families, and like I said, that Ghislaine in France, he's the only one who has any kind of lawsuit still out
Mhm.
trying to figure out something what's happening with this, which I don't blame him because he lost almost his whole family. So
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. Bleh.
it is terrible.
I hate it.
I do. I hate it for everybody involved because it was just watching it was just like, God, this is terrible. But it's still definitely an unsolved mystery because nobody knows anything.
Right? Ugh. Hmm.
So that's my story.
That was an excellent, horrible story. Thank you, Claire.
It is a terrible story. So, what story are you talking about this week?
So I am bringing to you the story of the disappearance of Tim Molnar.
Tim Molnar.
So,
Okay.
uh, I got,
That name
uh,
sounds slightly familiar.
I mean, it may or may not be. I got all my information from Unsolved Mysteries, the OG show, uh,
Yes.
their fandom website, and a Reddit user called O Maitland, which we'll come into that at the end.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I don't think I named mine things.
oh, hey, real quick,
It
your
was
sources.
yeah, it was
Uh
Wikipedia,
huh.
the Netflix documentary MH370, the
Hmm.
plane that disappeared. What was the other one? I think it was like The Guardian, maybe. Washington Post.
Ooh,
That
there
was
you
it.
go.
Washington Post. The article. Those were my sources. Sorry about that.
No worries. All right. So, this was on like season 8, maybe, of Unsolved Mysteries. I don't remember now.
Okay.
So, January 24th, 1984, 19-year-old Tim Monar is an aeronautical mechanics student at, I'm going to say, Embry Riddle, never heard of it, Aeronautical University.
Okay.
It's in Dayton Beach, Florida. What?
Okay.
So he's 19. He's in school, but he's still living at home because it was close. And who doesn't want a home cooked meal, man? Like,
Right.
screw dorm life. Bleh.
Right, definitely. Nobody wants to eat that college food.
No. And Tim himself was a very quiet, sensitive type. He was doing really well in school and had made it to the dean's list, so he was a very serious student. And on the morning of January 24th, he took his 14-year-old younger brother, Frank, to school and then realized he had forgotten his bike because I guess he needed it to bike across campus. I don't know, or just liked it. Not sure. And so he went home to get his bike and he puts it into the trunk of his car, which was a 1969 Dodge Dart,
Nice.
which meant nothing to me, but I looked it up.
April's like, I don't know cars.
I don't. Spencer is out and he rented a car and he sent me a picture of the steering wheel that has like an emblem on it and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
You're
He's
like,
like,
I
you
know
won't guess what
nothing.
I'm driving, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. He's like, the T is for Tesla, and I'm like, you're driving a Tesla? Hell, they rent those, but whatever. Anyway, Tim, however, he was very into cars, so he knew his cars. So his mom actually caught a glimpse of him as he was driving away. So he did go home, get the bike, put it in his trunk, and
Yes.
left. And he was supposed to head to school for classes, but didn't. And his family never saw him again.
Ooh.
So, like, that evening, they were concerned because he hadn't come home. And they had like a phone call that was just static. There was no voice on the line, so they weren't really sure
Mm-hmm.
what that was about. But like as time passed and realized he was gone, like they were of course concerned. Their 19-year-old son had disappeared. There had been no indication that he was unhappy or that he was wanting to leave or like had
Right. It's not
planned
like he ran
anything.
away. Yeah.
And so it would be 2 weeks until they got their first clue. They learned that the credit card that was his parents', but he had in his possession, had been used to purchase gas at a gas station in Lake City, Florida, which is 150 miles away.
Okay.
So
Wow. All
they were
right.
like, "Oh, okay." So they go to the gas station. It's been 2 weeks, but they go and they find the gas station attendant that remembered their son because of the car. It's a notable
Right.
car, apparently. For people who know cars, apparently a 1969 Dodge Dart means something to you. Not me, but
I
to
mean, I
you.
would say like in the 80s, it probably did. I mean, especially if it was like a certain color, maybe it probably stood out.
Mm.
You
But
know?
apparently it's a cool car. I mean, Tim was
Yeah.
really into cars. He loved his
Yeah.
car. He worked on his car. It's one of
Yeah.
those things. The stereotypical like 70s, 80s boy who loves cars. I don't know.
Right. 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 Yes.
But so the attendant remembered the car and remembered Tim and said that he'd been alone. There wasn't anyone in the car with him. He seemed fine. Didn't seem to be under duress or anything. It was no big deal. They talked about the car for a minute. And so they were like, okay, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe he, wanted to like start a new life or something. I don't know. They have no idea. They wouldn't get their second clue for another 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Hmm. So 4 months later, they received a letter in the mail from an auto impound company in Atlanta, Georgia. So it turns out that the car had been left in a parking lot for 6 days, starting like January 24th. And so it had been impounded because it had been left. That parking lot turned out to be a block away from the Greyhound bus terminal. So they were like, okay. So they go get the car
Hmm.
and they search the car. And inside, they find Tim's driver's license, his wallet,
Weird.
the
Yeah.
credit card that was his parents' credit card, and also realized that some expensive things were missing from the car, including the bike. It was no longer in the trunk. The stereo that he had put into the car himself, because you need a better one in 84 than what would have been in there in 69.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
And an expensive tool set that he kept in the car that he used to work on the car. So those were all missing. Now, they were conflicted because it seemed like perhaps he was trying to leave and start a new life. Because they at this point had discovered that he had taken nearly all of the money out of his savings account, leaving only $10, which is weird. Why leave $10?
Hmm.
But he also had taken no clothes with him. So he only had the clothes on his back. He didn't pack anything else. Nothing else was missing.
That is weird.
So that is kind of where it stops, sort of.
I
So
think I
no,
know
but
why. I think I know why I know this name is because I think when I was searching, when we had this previously, this guy's name came up.
oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then I wound
Uh-huh.
up doing something else. I think that's why I recognized the name, is because his name came up as
Right.
like an unsolved mystery. I think that's why.
So November 17th, 1995, we've moved ahead about 10 years, is the first time that this case appeared on Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay. Yes.
So at that point, Tim's family believed he was alive, living a life under another name that he just had some reason to leave, but they wanted him to come back home. And it had
Well,
turned
I mean, why
out,
would you think? I mean, because everything,
yeah.
yeah, because
Well,
who's gonna
it's
leave their wallet and their driver's license though? That just to me seems wild. Like,
well, and not pack any clothes. Like, okay,
yeah,
you took out all your money, but and like obviously he was driving. He seemed to have driven there without being under duress of any kind. So it's bizarre.
and also it's weird to me too that you would work so hard on a vehicle
And then leave
and then
it.
just not do. Yeah, like that was like
Well,
what you did, and you just dump it.
and he was a good student and he
Yeah.
left school. So like it's a lot of weird things. So the case is on Unsolved Mysteries. They're trying to find him. So it turned out that not long after he disappeared, a relative, not mentioned, had passed away, and that Tim actually was heir to about $50,000. So I think they're trying to lure him back home,
Was
find
it
out where
like,
he was
oh,
by saying it.
hey, you got some money, come get it.
Um, let's see. And uh, at this point, Tim's mother, Helen, was also working with a nonprofit organization that she helped create called Mother's Aid to Missing Adults. So, like, doing lots of things.
Right.
So, it initially aired then, and they got no bites, but then it re aired about 2.5 months later on January 31st, 1996, when a viewer named Stephen Cole called the telecenter. He recognized Tim's clothes from the what do they call it? They're like acting it out on Unsolved
Oh, the
Mysteries.
reenactment.
Reenactment. I kept trying to go reproduction, like, no,
The reenactment.
the
Yeah.
reenactment. So apparently they had put him in the outfit that they had seen him in last. It's like it's a striped polo shirt, but it was kind of an oddly striped shirt and khakis.
Right.
I watched it. So. And so Stephen Colin recognized those clothes as ones that he had found on a body frozen in ice 10 years earlier in Neosho, Wisconsin.
What?
So he contacts the, Unsolved Mysteries or whatever. He's like, "Hey, I think that's the body I found or whatever 10 years ago in
What?
1984." So like
Oh no.
that. And so they ended up contacting the medical examiner and Tim's family and did DNA sample things, and through testing was able to confirm that it was his body.
Oh
And the
no.
only thing that was with the body was a set of keys that matched the locks to the Molnar home. So he still had his keys.
Wow.
Now, Tim's death could not be determined. There had been no signs of trauma of any kind. They also could not determine how or why he traveled all the way to Wisconsin, nor why he was still wearing the exact same clothes he'd left in. That's a lot. I mean, if you took a
Yeah.
Greyhound bus to Wisconsin, that's days of travel. So his family held a memorial service for him and had him buried in Daytona Beach, Florida, but his death still remains a mystery. And since then, his mother and father have both passed. But now it gets interesting.
Okay.
So
I mean, yeah, it's just like,
it is an unsolved mystery. No one knows how this guy who is in Florida somehow ends up in Wisconsin, frozen in ice, by the way, out in the middle of freaking nowhere. So I stumbled upon a Reddit story that seemed to be someone who wrote in response to hearing this, maybe on a Morbid episode. I've not heard that episode, so I don't know. But it had Morbid in it, so I think it must be talking about that podcast.
mhm.
Um, So the writer knew some of the players in this game, and in the 1980s, the writer's family had a family friend that I'm going to call Rob Johnson because allegations, because like they named the person, and I'm not doing that. I'm scared.
Okay. So he like flat out was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
name names.
right.
I'm gonna spill the tea and name everybody's business."
I'm just gonna
Okay.
call them Rob Johnson because it's a Reddit story, and I don't know things.
Right, right, right.
So Rob was a friend or was friends with the writer of the Reddit stories uncle. Uh, And the writer's parents thought that Rob was weird and odd and didn't particularly like him.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently Rob would just sometimes be found on their family property, like uninvited, in areas that turned out to be very close to where Tim's body was eventually found. And
So
they
this
always,
person lived in Wisconsin.
yes,
Okay, gotcha.
and they always felt like Rob was scoping the land out for some reason. Like he just seemed the vibes were weird. And so this particular property is very remote farmland, which is perfect for hiding bodies.
Right.
Now, Rob also was into aviation, flew planes, went to Florida frequently, so it's possible he could have known Tim through connections through flying, and for
Okay.
being in the area, because Rob apparently had a plane that he flew back and forth. And Rob also let young men stay with him in this small, like barn-like shack. Like young men who were just kind of like passing through, drifters, so to speak.
This sounds all kinds of
Which
shady.
also is a thing that maybe Tim could have been doing if he'd been up there. He may have been a drifter. It could have possibly been staying at Rob's.
Or if he had met him
Right.
like at the aviation school and
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Hey, what if you come visit me sometime?"
Mm-hmm.
That could have possibly been it too. Maybe.
So
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's like it could just be a coincidence, but it's odd.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
So Rob also was a poacher which just meant that he hunted illegally out of
Yes.
season and he would survive off of his hunts. But he would try to burn the bones of his illegal poached kills in a furnace. And when that didn't work, he ended up trying to find other methods for their disposal. So, like, it's a whole, like, weird vibe happening there. And
Yeah.
then later, Rob was convicted of sexual assault of a child and ended up moving to Arizona. So it's one of those, the writer was like, yeah, Tim was 19, but he was still young and he was very quiet and shy and like,
Right.
maybe easy target to some, a predator like Rob. And so Stephen Cole,
Right.
who was the guy who found Tim's body, lived across the street from the writer of this article's aunt and uncle's house and they'd been neighbors for many years. So like it's all very close, this little area of people, even though it's like pretty remote, no one really lives on most of their land.
Right.
Now, I will tell you that the writer said that he and his brother gave all of this information to Unsolved Mysteries. They sent it to other true crime podcast uh, things as well. They contacted Milwaukee Homicide as well as sent the information to the FBI, but so far nothing has come of it.
Mm. Interesting.
So, um, the writer, I'll read the last little bit. The writer said, I'm trying to remember more. I have a feeling I've forgotten a super creepy piece of the Florida connection, but wanted to put this out there for my conscience and for Tim. If this guy had something to do with it, then I have to say something. But oddly, when I contacted my aunt, she said she wanted nothing to do with it at all. Talking about like tipping the FBI. And my
Yeah.
uncle had been sort of defensive when talking about it, but I think he's dealing with guilt from being friends with Rob and not realizing who he was. So
Mm.
it's like the writer did put all of this, did actually send it to the right people, but I mean a lot of it's conjecture, but it's still it's odd. It's bizarre coincidences,
Yes.
really. But
Well, and also,
so
I mean, you talk about not anything not coming of it. I mean, I feel
mhm.
like anything like look at the Crystal Rogers case.
Yeah,
They found junk, but it's like that was 2 years ago, and you
right?
know
Yeah.
nothing has been said. So if it's one of those things where they're trying to dot all their I's and cross all their T's before they do anything, I mean,
Mhm.
I get that. I mean, if they're wanting to like have everything lined up in a row before they make an arrest or accuse anybody, because it is such a big
But I
deal and they
mean,
don't want to screw it up. I mean,
they
I get that.
ultimately have no idea how this guy died. Like, he may
Yeah.
not have even been murdered, but what was
Yeah.
he doing up there?
Right.
And I
Yeah.
mean, this poor family, so, thought he was alive, and he probably was dead pretty soon
Soon,
after
yeah.
because he's wearing the exact
Exact
same
same clothes.
clothes. And
Yeah.
that's
And that's
weird.
wild that they were able to find something so close to what he had on. And
Yeah.
that was the thing that
That was the
has
trigger. The
caused
person's
somebody
like,
to call in.
they were
Yeah. Like,
like,
oh, I
wait,
recognize that
I found
shirt.
a dead body with those clothes on. And you're like,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
It's like in Wisconsin. What?
I know. That's crazy.
So bizarre. But that is the unsolved disappearance slash death of Tim Molnar.
That is nuts.
It
They
is
still don't,
nuts. It's
and
such
they
a
still don't
weird
know
story.
how he died. I
No,
mean, ugh,
don't
I
know how he
do. I hate
died.
that.
Don't know how he got there. Don't know anything. Can never track down anything.
I'm currently reading A Flicker in the Dark,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a part where it's about a girl whose father is a serial killer, and it's coming up on like the 20th anniversary of he murdered a bunch of teenage girls when she was almost a teenager, and it's coming up on the 20th anniversary of it, and now all of a sudden girls are going missing again. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not that far into it, about 100 pages in, but it's when the first girl goes missing now. She's an adult, and she happens upon the search party for the first girl, and she kind of walks out there and she's talking about like going places and just imagining like how many people are underneath your feet as you're walking. And I just had
Mm-hmm.
that moment of like, oh geez.
Yeah.
Oh geez.
Well,
And in that moment too, where it's just like when you just like stumble upon a dead body, like, oh geez. Like what? you know, you think about that, like there could be a dead body buried under
well,
where I'm walking right
Spencer
now.
and I have been looking at places to move to, and one of the places is near like I don't remember how many miles long or whatever, but several miles long, paved, because that's my level of commitment, path that's,
Yes.
in nature.
Yes.
And I'm like, how many dead people are out there? Like,
Right. Well, that
uh,
was like even when we were talking about like what was it, like the Bigfoot episode and how
mm-hmm.
with the weed farms out there and how they're protected and people just disappear and you
Yeah.
just imagine like how many dead bodies are like out in the wilderness, out in the Pacific Northwest
Oh, I
somewhere. Like,
imagine lots and lots and
oh
lots because people
gosh.
disappear all the time. There are always like missing posters and stuff everywhere. I don't hike here, guys. It's fine. Don't worry about me.
Like I can't sometimes it's like you can't let yourself dwell on it too much because then you're like, oh
No.
geez.
Well,
Oh,
and
oh
like
no.
every once in a while, if I'm riding in a car for a long period of time or driving by lots of houses, I'm like, how many people are locked in basements in these houses that I'm passing? Yeah.
I mean
Those weird things that get someone says it once and that thought
yes.
sticks in your head, it pops up
What it
every
was, it just
time.
read that one line in that book when she's just like talking
Mm-hmm.
about walking. It's like, how many dead people are underneath my feet? I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, I wish I hadn't read that line because
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh,
It's there
geez.
for you forever. You will pull it back up
Mm,
at all the worst times.
right. It's true. It's true. Like if I get back into running and I'm like running on some trail and it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
jeez,
Mm-hmm.
nope. But yeah, it's stuff like that. you know, I just hope it never happens.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person who's out walking or running and be like, I found something and I don't like it.
One of my super weird, I don't want to say like bucket list things because that sounds gross, but like I've always wanted to find a person, but like I'm talking like the bones to be like, oh my God, that, that can bring closure to somebody. Like I don't want to
Oh.
stumble across like a murder field or anything, but like the idea of being able to bring closure to somebody to find, because there's so many people who go missing. I swear to God, I heard something like 1,500 people a day go missing, and I'm like, what the fuck? I can't.
right.
That's a lot. I mean, like I know that some of those people are found, and it's it's not
Yes.
a dire thing, but there's a lot of people who are just never found, and to be able to bring some closure to people might. I mean, someone needs to
Exactly.
find them. I guess what I'm saying is I don't mind if I find them, just not like a lot of grotesque things. No smells. I don't want
No
smells.
smell.
No smells. Just it's like, oh, that looks like a weird rock. Oh, not a rock. That's a skull. Got it. Cool. Gonna call somebody now. Like That's where I am at. But I don't go off the
Oh
trail, so
no.
it probably won't happen to me because I don't.
Right. Yeah, you're like, I'm not gonna,
I
yeah,
don't
not
even like to go on trails. I'm like paved path level.
right. Definitely. Well, that
Thank
was a good story. Thank you.
you. It's a nice one. I liked it. I have to be careful what I pick because Spencer's not home and stories sit in my mind. I tried to
Uh-huh.
watch Criminal Minds, like the newer show, and I can't. It's
Oh,
too dark, and I'm like, nope, nope, got it, can't do this. So it's
it
all
is.
sorts of
Yeah.
like I'm watching Hoarders, and America's Next Top Model apparently still exists, which cracks me up. So
Ugh, no, can't do it.
they're just so catty, and I love it. Oh, I watched and I'm desperate. What could well, because I was watching Grey's Anatomy, but I caught up. Um, I watched The Summer I Turned Pretty on Amazon Prime, and
What
like
is that?
it's based on a book. I've not read the book, and I'm not going to. It's disgusting. Like the whole thing is horrific.
Sounds awful.
Well, it's like a girl. She turned 16, and like she outgrew all of her awkwardness. And they go to this beach house with like her mom's best friend and her sons every summer. And she's pretty like she's coming to her own. She's grown up. That's not really the summer I turned pretty. It's the summer that she was no longer a gawky weird tween and cared about
Okay.
her appearance and was into boys is more correct than anything. But like
Right.
she's not really a good person. Like she's been in love with one of the sons forever, but ends up sort of dating this guy and kind of treats him shitty while she's there, and then ends up like hooking up with the younger brother and thinks, oh, trying to get out. And I'm like, it's very dirty and messy and gross in a way that I'm like, I don't want teens to think that this is okay because
You're
she's
like,
fucking with a lot of
no.
people's feelings in this show. So there's that. But what's her name from Hmm. What is her name? Why can't I remember it? But one of the moms is from a movie from our 90s, and I can't think of anything now. So never mind. We'll just
Mm,
ignore that. I'll text you later.
you'll text me later.
You're like, this is who it is. But anyway,
I need a sweary affirmation.
sweary affirmation. All right, guys. This week's sweary affirmation: believe that there is a shit ton of goodness coming your way.
Yes.
Believe it. I need it. I need some goodness because this
We
week
do.
has been a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. We can't always have what we want when we want it. We
Nope.
should. We should always get to have what we want when we want it. But whatever. No big deal.
No biggie.
That must mean that it's time for
Yes.
tarot time with April. A spooky spooky. I keep hitting the microphone.
I do that all the time.
And I'm like I'm hitting just like the wire or whatever. It's having a panic attack. All right, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power to give us good cards. Are you ready? You
Okay.
have the power.
I got
Believe,
power.
believe, Claire, that there is a shit ton of goodness coming your way.
Yes, I'm gonna put the good vibes
Okay,
out.
here we go.
Good cards only.
I feel bad that I can't like mimic the Unsolved Mysteries thing. It's like do 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 do, but I can't quite.
Right.
And then it's always it's just weird.
I
Uh,
know, because it's just weird piano music. It's like,
yeah. Although I will say, I as much as I love the new Unsolved Mysteries, I'm a little sad that they don't have some host to introduce them,
Right.
because I feel like that was part of what made it show so
Yes.
goddamn scary, by the way.
Stop.
Okay.
Yes. I feel that.
We are starting our week with Judgment, as we always
Oh, yes.
do.
Indeed.
Our middle of the week will be filled with the Pope, who won't leave us alone.
Oh my gosh.
I swear. What is this? We need to like count how many times he shows up this year, because obviously he
I
got a
mean,
thing. He got a thing.
he's
And we're
haunting us.
ending with the, I can count, 9 of Pentacles.
He's haunting us.
He is haunting us. And like, normally I don't believe that the universe is really trying to actively communicate with me as a general rule, because who the fuck am I? But this is beginning to feel a little ridiculous. I'm like,
Right.
maybe they are. Maybe I need to continue deep diving on my Pope love here or something. Let's see. Looking for Judgment. Shouldn't have to
Feel
look too
bad
far.
because we don't ever get like either one of my cards. We get yours all the fucking time.
Well, we just get the Pope all the fucking time. Let's be very specific. Very specific. Because I think we've had Temperance like maybe once or twice, which we've had yours a couple of times. So it's just this one card that haunts us. Okay.
Yeah, because I think we've had the devil once, and I think we've had the lovers once.
But God forbid, like, I mean,
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
you're
know.
right. I think we've had temperance like twice.
But this guy, what can I say? Okay. Um, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. The sun shines into all of the cracks and crevices. It also brings a lot of light of it also brings to light a lot of things we've shoved away when no one was looking. Let's see. Blah 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 blah. Apparently judgment is sometimes we're assholes in our past or whatever. I don't know. Judgment card is about release. The basic card has to do with Judgment Day, when all of the sins are wiped clean and we're taking bodily into heaven or something like this. Anyway, the Judgment card is not so much about wiping the slate clean as accepting that your life is full of holes and mistakes and graffiti and scuffs, and all of those marks and flaws are what make you beautiful. Oh, I'm here for that.
That's not bad.
This card often comes up when we reach a crossroads. We can continue the way we've been, or we can challenge ourselves and find our authentic path. Our one true calling, or not one true, our true calling is out there, and although it's easier to remain complacent and accept what has made us comfortable, it doesn't do us a damn bit of good. It doesn't help us grow, and it doesn't help us become more complete people. And then we have the Pope who's telling us we gotta learn how to, I guess, do shit again.
We still haven't learned.
No, and like, I'm gonna look at this again because I mean, obviously, I'm missing something.
Like, what do you want from us?
I know, like, I mean, my book literally opens to the page of the Pope now. That's how many times I've opened it to the Pope. Can I quit doing it for a while, guys? Because, like, let's see. Da, da, da. I'm trying to figure out the important things. No, we don't have cross keys at his feet, but that matters. You have to earn your followers. You don't just get to assume you know everything. You have to be cunning, clever, and fast. You have to work so you can get to the throne, so you can pick up the keys to the throne. Because I guess in the traditional, it has the cross keys of like the Pope.
Oh, okay.
That, if you will recall, in the terrible movie version of Angels and Demons, gets burned into the flesh of the idiot guy because he does it to himself because he's a fucking idiot. Anyway. Moving on. Just had to yell about that. This card can have several meanings. The Hierophant is a teacher. He represents a group or class and is an authority. He has studied for a long time. He's learned all that he can and is passing it on to others as his life's work. He is all about tradition and using the old knowledge to teach the new generation. There's obviously a religious angle to this card, but he takes information and passes it on. He's an archivist and a librarian, and weirdly, this comes up all the time for computer professionals. The Hierophant can indicate the need to conform and educate yourself, or that you need to establish a spiritual tradition. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe yelling at me and my lack of spirituality. Maybe that's what it all is. Like, I have none.
It's both of us.
I'm like, oh, I talk to the universe, sort of. You know, the voice in my head, because that's really all we have anyway. It's that weird voice that we talk to all day long. You do, like, have conversations in your head, right?
Me? Yes.
Yeah, like, that's normal. I'm not weird.
No.
Okay, just making sure. Sometimes I wonder.
No, I have conversations in my head all the time.
A pathway to gain the education that lets you live your most authentic life. So apparently it's time for us to move forward and do better and work for it. And I don't know. That's a lot. There's a lot of things happening, guys. I don't know. Maybe it's not even about us, Claire. Maybe this is the card speaking to you, dear listener. One of you out there. It's your fault. Learn the things you need to learn. Learn them. I don't know.
But it's probably us.
Well, because I mean,
because we're the drama.
me.
Oh my god,
It's me.
are
I'm
we
the
the
drama?
Oh my god, are we the drama? No, we're not the drama.
I heard again TikToking. I guess The Voice is still a thing. I don't know. I don't watch TV. And
Apparently,
they had I guess two of the people, because I don't remember how it works, but I think two people who were on it were singing a duet, and they sang it to that song.
Oh, they did? Okay.
And it was beautiful because it was like slowed down and just like all harmonized and beautiful. I'm like, this is really pretty. I mean, I'm not going to watch the show, but it was on my TikTok, so here we are.
Nice.
Okay. Ending our week, our confusing Pope-filled week with the Nine of Pentacles.
Yes.
This card speaks to gratitude and confidence. It's about treating yourself as well as you treat the people you love. We've had this recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. It's the result of hard work and perseverance. Oh my god, it's like the Pope is screaming at us in this set. It's like, seriously, screaming. Fine, I'll do the hard work. Just tell me what it is. Can you just be like really specific? Give me a specific thing. Be like, this very specific thing is the thing. So that because I'm not picking, I am apparently, subtlety is not working. So, like, smack me in the face with it. That one.
Hit me, Pope, baby, one more time.
Hit me, Pope. I love it. All right. Well, there you have it. That is our week ahead. Good luck to all of us trying to figure it out. So, what shall it be, Claire? What does our Wheel of Fate have for us this week?
Let's see.
I keep meaning to like update it, so whoopsies. Just saying. Da da da, it's me. Can't get the thing to click. There it is. Thank you. Here we go. I don't even know what I want anymore. It's
spooky.
I'm excited about that. I love the effects. I swear there's like one person who's like, woo! Whenever it's magical. Good. I'll be able to do that again because Spencer will be home, so I won't scare myself shitless because that's my reality. It's hot here now, so like I had to turn on the fan in our bedroom, and it's oscillating slightly.
Yeah, it's getting humid here. I don't like it. It's like,
so
I hate it.
Well, it makes things move that don't normally move. So like it was waking me up at night. So I'm like, oh, something's moving. I'm like, no, April, you're fine. No one's in the house. Nobody wants you. You're old now. You're 40. You're fine.
Oh no.
So that's what happens in my head. A weird place to be. What can I say?
I know. It's humid here now and I hate it.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm like, ew. Like, ooh, where did fall go? I want fall back.
Well, I mean, we'll get there.
It's
gonna be a
I
little while,
know.
but
I know.
I'm over here being like, 2 weeks ago I was in a hoodie because it was fucking ice cold, and now I'm
Right.
like literally wearing the least amount of clothing I can possibly wear because it's freaking hot. So, anyway. Well, I guess until next time when we cover more spooky things,
Yes.
you can find us in all the things and at all the places at.
Brunch and Judge.
Please follow, like, subscribe, comment, etc., etc. And you can send us topics for our wheel or any stories you'd like for us to cover to us at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching.
And keep on judging.
Bye.
Bye.
Also, maybe don't get on a plane.
For a
See,
while.
a little while.
Unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah.